Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
It's your main man, 360 the Poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars. On hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360 the Poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209. Give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to once again another wonderful week with your boy, Juss Quanni. I'm here as always, just trying to hold up my end of the deal and do what I can. Oh man, I lost the top to my order. All right, that's fine. It's okay. I'm at home. Anyway, how are y'all? I hope y'all had a great weekend, a great week. Me, on the other hand, I did a very long one, but productive. Turned out to be really well. I am really enjoying this one job thing. How long will it last, you say? I don't know. I'm trying to give myself a few months of just, chill time because it's not necessary. But I do like to keep my hands busy. But the kids kind of help with that, so that's cool. I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, other than that, was there anything that jumped out from last week? I think without even having to say it, good looking out to Will at the Sci-Fi Center. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, E, for the tickets as well. Went to see Spider-Man last week, Thursday afternoon. That was pretty cool. Got off work, went and got my costume and changed. Went to go see the movie, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I have seen the movie now 3 times since it has been out, and I am not ashamed to admit that. I am a huge Spider-Man fan, so you all should have known that I was definitely going to go and see that movie more than once. So good looking at that. Me and the kids seen it last at the drive-in Sunday night, which was pretty cool. They enjoyed it for the most part, especially Terrence and Miracle. They really had fun. Junior kind of got sleepy, but he didn't have a nap, so I kind of figured that was going to happen with him. That always happens when he gets chill and relaxed. But he doesn't like the movie theater because it's too loud, so the drive-in works perfectly fine for him. So no big deal there. Also, what was it? I just really want to say about that movie because I don't want to give out no spoilers because, it's only been out almost a week. It's a great movie. It's more so about Peter Parker and Spider-Man, not like Avengers, Spider-Man, Tony Stark kind of thing. It's also his, him. So I hope you all go see it and enjoy it. In a few weeks, I am going to talk a little bit more about it possibly because then I think everybody would have had some time to see it. But I really enjoyed this one. The spoiler at the end, I called it. And I know exactly who it is. Or the end credit scene. I'm sorry, not spoiler. The end credit scene at the end. Anyway, other than that, that's not really too much about the week that really got over it. Actually, man, there was another thing. So I've been trying to pick up a little bit more on my side businesses, doing birthday parties, things of that nature. So I helped out a friend for his kid's birthday party. Matter of fact, I have a video I need to send that to him today. I finished it up last night. I think he's gonna like it. Basically, I did a birthday party on Saturday, and it was amazing. It was a pool party. The kids kind of jumped me, threw me in a pool. They actually got my mask up. Look, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, doing birthday parties for kids in costumes, Batman, Spider-Man, whatever they want, Robin, Superman, whoever it is. And I've never had a kid actually try to take my mask off until this past weekend. And then one kid caught me slipping, and then all the other kids saw that he had me cornered, and they all came to help. And it was just a mess, but they ended up getting the mask off. It's okay. I was shocked. I never had it happen before, so I really didn't know what to do. And I was like, all right, well, just gotta let it happen. Then they finally brought it back to me. So, we'll see what happens there. But it was pretty cool. It was fun and it was amazing. It was a great birthday party. So I'm actually going to post videos about that too. Yeah, just trying to, do some things that were on the side that are fun, get some things to take care of the family, but don't have to take up too much of my time. You know what I mean? I'm getting back to how I used to be with it, doing it a lot more. I appreciate that. But other than that, yeah, I don't really have too much to say. Everything's going good in life. Things are going the way that they should for the most part. They are going through. Of course, most of this conversation is actually just a general thing. Like, I've been seeing a lot of things with people, whether it comes to social media, or whatever the case may be. I just see a lot of things about these people. Kind of, I don't know if everybody's really living, like, I think everyone's kind of existing, or it's not everyone. I apologize for saying that. I think some of these things we're seeing are people just existing in time, not really living in life. Does that make sense? We'll talk about it, and then at the end you can tell me if it makes sense to you. But that's kind of where it comes from today. There's a lot of behavior that will follow that when you in certain situations, in my opinion. So welcome back to another episode of Talk is Cheap. I'm your host, Juss Quanni. Again, we're gonna talk about something that a lot of people didn't even realize that that they're living in, right? Which I like to call survival mode. Some may not want to agree with the word survival mode, but I like that word because survival is the one trait every single human being has in common, right? It may be different survival tactics you may have, but we all know how to survive, okay? Some of you aren't really living. I think, we're surviving, or you're surviving. There's a difference. So when you're living your dream, you plan, you love, you trust, you create, you laugh, like you have that fulfillment coming out of everything you're doing. But when you're surviving, everything becomes about making it through the today. I just need to get through today, and then I'll get to tomorrow, right? And sometimes people stay in survival mode so long that they begin believing that's who they are. And today I want to discuss what survival mode looks like, how it affects communication, how some people can only communicate through anger, how people become destructive when life starts falling apart, and why these behaviors can sometimes be signs that someone is emotionally overwhelmed or struggling, right? This isn't about labeling anyone. It's about understanding behavior, because understanding creates compassion. But compassion doesn't mean accepting harmful behavior, right? I want everybody listening to think about this. Have you ever looked back at a season of your life and realized, I wasn't okay? I was just surviving. Like, I was just getting through. I'm not okay. Have you ever really looked at it and seen it for that? I want to kind of define what survival mode looks like, so to say. Survival mode is when your brain becomes focused on getting through immediate challenges rather than thinking long term, right? Sometimes it's triggered by financial hardships, divorce, death, trauma, abuse, job loss. Imagine you lose your job. Constant stress, feeling unsafe. When your mind feels under constant threat, your energy often shifts towards protection rather than growth, okay? That doesn't mean every stressful period equals survival mode. But for many people, prolonged stress can affect how they think, feel, and relate to others. Some people stop making plans, and they probably don't do it intentionally. Some stop trusting people, and some stop caring. Others become hyper alert. They're always waiting for something bad to happen. Like, have you ever met somebody that, let's say, who always assumes the worst, no matter what it is? It could be the best day possible and everything could have been going right, but they're still going to assume the worst, okay? Who always thinks you're trying to hurt them, right? Like, that's not just negativity. Sometimes that's someone whose nervous system has been under pressure for a long time, like a really, really long time, right? Imagine driving your car with the emergency brake halfway engaged, right? Eventually, you're still moving, but everything takes more effort. That's what survival mode can feel like. You're functioning, but you're exhausted, right? You're just getting through it. So some of the things that can happen from it is like anger. You're too overwhelmed, probably too much going on. And possibly you feel like that's the only language you can speak from it is anger, right? Who knows? Let's see. So some people never really learned healthy communication. They don't really know what that looks like. And that's not their fault, right? That's not their fault. They just don't know what that really looks like. They learn volume. That's what they learned. The higher the volume, the more the authority. That's kind of how it goes for them. They learned, instead of saying, like, not vulnerability, but instead of saying I'm hurt, they yell, right? Instead of saying I'm scared, they attack. Instead of saying I need reassurance, they accuse, right? Anger often feels more powerful than sadness. For some people, anger becomes armor, like literal armor. People often say they have an anger problem, and sometimes, but it's also worth asking, what emotions are underneath that? What emotions are underneath that anger? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it grief? Is it rejection? That doesn't excuse harmful behavior. It helps explain why it may happen, where it may come from. Because we're about understanding, right? We want to know where everything is coming from. So you can attack the core. You can deal with it. Healthy communication sounds like, I felt hurt. I need clarity. I disagree. I need space. Survival communication sounds like, you never, forget you, I'm done, I hate everybody. One builds connection, right? While the other is what? It builds distance. It just keeps pushing you further and further apart, right? Now, or farther and farther apart. I always get it mixed up, man. When was the last time someone yelled? When what they really needed was probably just a cry. Probably a shoulder to lean on, right? Somebody to vent to or tears to fall down on. Just somebody to just listen. Who knows? Who knows? But when you don't get all of that, you typically feel like you start to lose control of life, right? Here's something that I've noticed. When people feel like they're losing everything, sometimes they stop protecting anything. Think about it. Someone loses a relationship, then loses their job, then starts drinking more, then stops paying bills, stops sleeping, stop eating. They stop burning bridges, start making these impulsive decisions. It's like watching dominoes fall. You set them up and it's like, once the one I'm hit, oh, the rest I'm going to, right? When someone feels hopeless, they may start thinking, what difference does it make? That mindset can lead to self-destructive choices, which is horrible. Self-destruction isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like ignoring your health, isolating yourself, picking fights, overspending, quitting without a plan, refusing to help, saying things just to hurt people. Sometimes people destroy what's left because they've convinced they're going to lose it anyway. So they're like, fuck it, why not? I'm gonna lose it. Might as well destroy everything. Hulk smash. No. Well, I'll give you a little joke here. Why don't skeletons fight each other? Because they don't have the guts. Like some people on Facebook every morning. Anyway. So now I want to take this conversation a little bit deeper. Just a little tiny bit. Okay? Because obviously there are some things that I feel I kind of want to go further into when I talk about it. Have you ever met someone who seems to be at their best when everything is falling apart? No matter what happens, there's always another argument, another crisis, another emergency, another dramatic situation. And sometimes you start asking yourself, why does it always seem like there's something going on? Here's something worth thinking about. Some people don't necessarily thrive in chaos because they enjoy suffering. They thrive in chaos because it's familiar. It's comfortable territory, right? If someone grew up in a home where there was constant instability, constant uncertainty, their brain may begin to recognize chaos as normal. What I mean by that is some people will go through everything in life in a chaotic way because they feel like, well, this is how it's supposed to be. Things may look chaotic or may seem chaotic. To me, they look normal. So what are you talking about? I don't see the chaos. I don't see the issues. So where's the issue? Or where's the problem? You have to show me that. And on the outside looking in, you're like, what do you mean you don't see it? It's everything everywhere. But when they grew up in a home or environment where instability and chaos is all they've known, that's normal to them. Peace is like awkward for them in a way, in my opinion. Because they've been living this life for so long, especially depending on how old that person is. If they have children, if they have if the spouse, if they're in a unit together where both parties have grown up like that, it's no wonder why you see it. It's just repeated behavior. And you know me, I'm just gonna do my best to try to break generational curses. I'm already doing great at one, being a dad. Won't let nothing stop me doing that, you know? But I know there's a lot of unhealthy patterns that even still there are some that probably dwell within me that I have to learn to let go of. I'm sure there are some. And I will, of course I will. I will get those. I've been attacking things for years, one by one, knocking them off the list, doing better. So proud of the man I've become. I am so happy about that. I can say that I can look in the mirror and look at myself and say, I'm so proud of the man you become. You know what I mean? I've broken down so many barriers I thought I wouldn't reach. And I just keep going. So I'm pretty excited about that. I can't wait to see how things will go from here, how things will continue to go. But one thing I know is for sure in my life, fatherhood is the one thing I can keep being good at. So I'm going to keep it up. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it up. But again, I've learned that dealing with chaos and coming up with it, that some things had to change about that. Because at first I was like, this is how it's supposed to be. And then I started learning healthy behaviors and healthy patterns. And I'm all like, wait, I mean, it don't have to be that difficult. Hold on. It don't got to be that hard. No, I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax because I think this can be a little easier than I'm making it be. You know? That's why I love stability so much now. I love it so much now because, man, it is so much calmer than the chaotic storm. I'm telling you, so much calmer. But When you think about the people that recognize chaos as normal, one day they find themselves in a peaceful relationship, very peaceful relationship, a healthy friendship, a stable job, and instead of feeling relaxed, they feel restless because peace is unfamiliar. That's foreign territory to them. It's almost like someone who has lived next to train tracks their entire life, right? Eventually, they stop noticing the noise. But if you move them somewhere completely quiet, they may have trouble sleeping, right? Because quiet is different. The same thing can happen emotionally. Some people become so used to conflict that they don't know how to function without it. It just has to be there for them. If nobody is arguing, they'll find something to argue about. Okay? If everything is going well, they'll start looking for problems. It has to happen. It's something about their brain that is telling them that, all right, everything is peaceful, perfect time for an argument, perfect time to trip, do something you shouldn't do. I don't know why. They'll assume someone eventually will start an issue, so they want to be the first ones to do it, right? Now, let me be very clear. Understanding this doesn't excuse harmful behavior. I say that so much because I want that to be understood with this. If someone is constantly hurting the people around them, there still has to be accountability. But accountability and understanding can exist together. Sometimes people mistake intensity for love. They think if we're not fighting, we're not passionate. If we're not breaking up every other week, maybe this relationship isn't real. That's a very dangerous mindset. Love shouldn't constantly feel like survival. Healthy relationships don't require emotional whiplash. Another thing I've noticed, some people confuse attention with connection, right? When life is calm, nobody is checking on them. Nobody is calling every 5 minutes. And nobody is trying to fix a crisis. So subconsciously, chaos becomes a way to feel seen. Let me bring the attention to me, bring the light on me. Again, that doesn't mean every person who creates conflict is doing it for attention. Human behavior is more complex than that, and we should all know that. But it's worth asking ourselves, do I know how to receive love without creating a problem? Can I enjoy peace, or do I only feel alive when everything is falling apart? Here's another hard question. Have you become addicted to emotional highs and lows? Right? You know, emotional highs and lows. Because chaos releases adrenaline. And some people love that adrenaline rush, right? Conflict, it creates intensity. And making up after a fight can feel exciting, like it'll feel good, like you're like, oh yeah, we made up, we good, we over it, we through it. But excitement isn't the same thing as stability. You know, if every week feels like a roller coaster, you're probably not experiencing peace. I don't think that's what that is. I think you're experiencing emotional exhaustion, you know? And here's what I want everyone listening to remember. Peace can feel boring, which is completely fine. Like, that's okay. Until you realize it's actually freedom. Like, why not choose to be a little free, a little more happy and experience with life instead of wanting to be in chaos and chaotic? I'll never understand it, but I'm trying to, and I want to, you know? Freedom from constantly defending yourself, right? Freedom from wondering what version of someone you're going to get today. Freedom from waking up every morning expecting another battle. Some of us have spent so much time surviving that we don't recognize peace when it finally arrives. So today I want you to ask yourself, am I protecting my chaos because it's familiar? Because those are very different things, right? Growth begins the moment you stop confusing drama with purpose and start recognizing that peace is not something to fear, it's something to build, ideally. Again, some people grew up in chaos, so peace just feels suspicious. They don't recognize it. They're not used to it. They're not ready for it, right? Because if nobody's yelling, something must be wrong. If your partner is calm, maybe they don't care. If everything is going well, you start waiting for a disaster. That's what chronic stress can do. Some people accidentally create conflict because conflict is familiar. Healthy love feels uncomfortable because dysfunction became normal. Have you ever noticed some people can't sit in silence? Everything has to become an argument. Everything becomes a crisis because calm feels foreign, and that's just something to reflect on, you know? Like, ask yourself sometimes, do I solve problems or do I become one? Am I reacting or am I responding? Right? I I love the idea of, am I reacting or am I responding? I say to people a lot that, if I'm not being heard, I'll use a term that I think you are listening with the intent to respond and not understand what I'm saying. And I say that when I see that instead of me being given the chance to explain or talk, I get cut off. It's like you cut me off at the comma, not the period, you know? So I don't mind difference in opinion. I just don't like that if I let you get your difference in your opinion out, then you should allow me to do the same. Then at that point you can rebuttal, and I would rebuttal if I have to, right? Like a respectful conversation. So I always tell some people when I see that those traits are there, I say, well, you're listening with the intent to respond and not understand. So maybe it's just best that we put this conversation on hold, or we could just agree to disagree. Either way, whichever one makes it easier to just get through the conversation. So that is a really good one to ask yourself. Am I reacting or am I responding? Okay. Now, want to talk about how to get out of survival mode? Healing, Rome wasn't built in a day. So healing is not going to happen overnight. Everyone thinks that you can just heal overnight, and that's not the way it happens. But awareness changes everything. That's where you got to start at it, being aware of what's going on and what the situation is. What am I protecting? Why do I react so quickly, right? Why does criticism feel like an attack? Why do I expect people to leave? Why do I struggle to trust, right? I say that because when I was growing up and until recent years, I would be quick to defend myself in every situation when sometimes I didn't need to. I just needed to just listen and call it a day. But I realized that from my trauma when I was younger, I never had proof of when I got said I did something wrong. I never had evidence to show that I was in the right, that I didn't do anything. So growing up in adulthood, when I do have proof, I want to show it to exonerate myself because I don't want you to truly believe I did something I did not do. And because of that, I would overdo it in every situation when sometimes it's not about that. I may have done everything right. I just could have done something better. You see what I mean? I just could have done something a different way. I could have just went around it a different way. That's what could have happened. So ultimately, yeah, it would be dope to just learn. I had to learn to just take the advice in and listen with the intent to understand instead of respond to what was in, or instead of, just to respond, to reply. So it's a tough journey. I don't discredit anybody on it being easy. I don't think it's easy. I know it's hard. I know it's tough. It's a very tough journey. I commend you on the effort you put in to keep going towards that journey, because I know it's tough. I know how it is. I feel it. I'm there. I got you. I understand. So for me being at that point and now understanding that sometimes I just need to hear the advice, because sometimes I could have saved myself a lot of trouble by doing things a certain way. I could have been in the game like EA Sports, you know? But healing doesn't happen overnight. Just keep remembering that. Now, if you're constantly overwhelmed or these patterns are affecting your life and relationships, talking with a licensed mental health professional can be an important step. Therapy isn't about providing something is wrong with you. It's about building tools that help you respond differently. That's it. Giving you nice resources, tools to put in your tool belt. Healing requires slowing down enough to notice your patterns. It requires accountability. It requires support. And sometimes it requires admitting, I'm not okay. There is strength in that, whether you want to believe it or not. There is strength in letting it be known that I'm not okay. You know? I'm serious. Survival mode may have protected you once, but eventually the same survival skills that kept you alive can keep you from truly living. Don't confuse survival with healing, okay? Don't confuse anger with strength. Don't confuse chaos with passion. And don't confuse emotional exhaustion with who you are. You deserve relationships where you don't have to fight to be heard. You deserve peace that doesn't feel temporary. You deserve a life where you're not constantly waiting for the next disaster. If any part of this conversation is making you think about yourself or someone you love, don't ignore it. Because sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is reach out for support. It's not hard to reach out for support, and I don't know why people make it seem like it's the most difficult thing ever to do. Because who's gonna know you reached out? Yourself. Who's gonna know you reached out? If you need to go to a therapist or somebody for help, you and that therapist know, right? Boom, you made the phone call, or you wouldn't have made the appointment. I think everybody believes that there's an imaginary camera following them around, like live TV, that broadcasts their life to everybody. I think that's what's happening. Because who's going to know that you reached out for help or support? So what's so hard about it? We all have Google. We can Google research anything we want, we need. There are so many options to find help and support and resources for what you need to do. That is crazy. You know, I make this statement. I make this statement to people because when I was younger, I used to go out to the streets and just talk to the homeless people to just find out, you know, what's got you here? What part of life had you end up here? You know, but you have to be very respectful. You don't want to go out there and just talk to these people because they still people, they still humans. But crazy enough, do you know that they actually, most of them want to be there. They don't want the major responsibilities of being an adult, right? They don't want to go to work, paying bills. They don't want those kind of responsibilities. And it made me realize, like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense as to why it happens, you know, because I felt like there's so many resources when I look into people being homeless, the resources they have, you know, it's like within 3 months, you can kind of be on your feet, you know, like, I'm not saying on your feet like you got a house and a car and everything. You might have a job and a place to stay, you know, a roof over your head. I mean, that's kind of cool. ID or license and some clothes and nice, you know, get you some Medicaid, some SNAP to keep you going for a while till you get fully on board, you know. But most of the time, that's kind of just like they don't want those major responsibilities for it. And I had to realize, like, man, that's crazy that people wouldn't want to be an adult. Because I mean, even though I talk mess about adulting, um, I talk a lot of mess about it. I love it. So I like paying my bills. I like getting things done. You know, I survive. At one point, I was surviving. Now I'm kind of smoothing in to a more peaceful environment. You know, all in all, it just made me realize that that's their form of surviving. That's how they are going to survive. They choose to do it that way. And as much as I'm like, there's so much help for you, they don't want that kind of help. I can't force that onto them, even though I would love to help. They don't want it. But that's their form of surviving. Personally, that survival instinct, it's in all of us. And when it kicks in for me, yeah, I'm just like in go mode. You know, I'm just like, all right, this. I'm restless. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't get no sleep. I don't get no nothing. I be out of it, completely out of it. So that day come where I do get some rest or some sleep, and I sleep for like 10 hours. That's because I know it's probably been a few weeks since I actually got some decent rest, and my body just gave out on me. You know, it's crazy. Your body will tell you, because your body ain't gonna play with you no more. If I go too many days without enough sleep or too many days without eating, my body will literally tell me, I'm finna give out on you. You finna lay down, my boy. You ain't finna be able to do nothing. I need some rest. I need some TLC. My body it tell me, even if I was planning on going out, it'd hit me. I ain't going out no more. So I started taking care of it so it ain't gotta force me into it. I started taking care of it so that way I'll still be good. You know, I ain't gotta worry about it. I'll be all right. You know, nothing, no big deal. But all in all, I just gotta do better. Your body will tell you stuff. Being in survival mode, being on the go. I wasn't really focused on taking care of myself, man. I wasn't really focused on taking care of myself. And I was at a point where back in time, you know, there was a point where, again, I was in this situation. I thought I would thrive in chaos, and peace was very foreign to me, because when I seen peacefulness, I was like, what is that? What is that? You know, and I would assume that there would be something that needed to happen. So when there was a problem that occurred, I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. All right, there go the issue. It's normal. There we go. I was waiting on that. But your mindset should not really be that way, right? It shouldn't really be that way. But again, back in that time, peace felt unfamiliar. And I think there were some things I may have sabotaged without knowing, but subconsciously I'd sabotage some things without even, or should I say, sorry. Yeah. Now, sometimes the greatest threat to our future, it isn't another person, right? It's the version of ourselves that never learned how to live outside of survival mode. Think about that for a second. How many times have we prayed for something like a healthy relationship or a better career, financial stability, a loyal friend, a peaceful home, a fresh start, right? And then once we finally get it, what do? We became uncomfortable. Not because it was bad, because it was unfamiliar. That's all. Sometimes we don't sabotage our belongings because we don't want them. We sabotage them because we don't know how to live with them. That's a difficult truth. It's a very difficult truth. If you spent years expecting disappointment, trust can feel very suspicious. If you spent years fighting for love, healthy love might feel too quiet, right? So most people will say, what do you mean healthy love might feel too quiet? You may have somebody that love you and it's in the best way. They looking out for you. They checking on you. They working on their P's and Q's. They doing better, growing themselves. But you like, it ain't no problems around here. Somebody don't care. I got to give up. Somebody giving up. Somebody walking away. I got to bring some excitement back to the relationship or to the situation. It happens that way, and that's not the way to go. You don't bring more chaos on top of chaos hoping that it's going to make anything change. You have to find different ways to communicate that without being so destructive. Like, it's never, how do you say it? Just because it may seem quiet doesn't mean that someone has given up or doesn't care about you. Maybe that's a sign that y'all can both just be like, and breathe. Take a fresh breath of air. That's it. Just breathe. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Now, if you spend years believing people always leave, regardless, you might start pushing people away before they even have the chance. Now, what do I mean by that? I think I've said this plenty of times on the show that I've had abandonment issues growing up. And what I mean by that is, I've realized that early in life, I've lost a lot of people near and dear to me, when it comes to death. My stepdad, started with him when I was younger, when I was about 15 or 16 years old. And it was a lot because, I didn't have a really a father figure or a father growing up. But my stepdad was like a father figure, and he kind of would steer me in the right direction in life. He kind of put my head on straight, if that makes sense. He had me on the right path. Gave me a lot of great advice, a lot of helpful advice that I still take on till this day, and I appreciate him for it. But other than that, he left. Then I lost my brother. That was like my man. That one right there that one completely changed my personality, flipped it inside out, up, down, and around. It just, it was I blacked out for about 2 years of my life when I lost my brother. I just didn't know how to really deal without him. He was such an important part of my life, such an important person to me. He was my older brother, and when I lost him, I lost a lot. So then my sister lost her mom. We lost her mom. It was just a lot of loss and abandonment, So with that growing up, it really affected me on if I'm in a situation or a friendship or relationship and people walk away and leave. It really triggered me so much that they would do that, because I would just think about all the people I've lost already. And it's like, it made me feel like as to why everybody's leaving me. But in some cases, if they are leaving, show them the door. They need to see it. They need to see it. Okay? They need to see it. But there were times in my life where I would create conflict in a way because I was expecting these people to leave anyway, to make them get up and go. So it's like I was enabling or instigating the behavior, which is crazy to realize that I was a part of that kind of work, that I was a bigger issue that I didn't even know about. And it's okay to accept and understand things as you learn and process new information in life. That's another thing I've learned with taking more accountability, that when I learn new information, it's okay to change my mind and my thought process. I learned more information about it now. I know more about the details. So I may have a better outlook on what I need to choose and what I need to do. That's okay. I realize that's okay. Nobody can tell me it's not. But because of my abandonment issues, I would always push people away and try to get them out the door before they can leave. I want to push them out before they can walk out. So I'm glad I had to work on that, and I fixed that, because I realized that was me being detrimental to the situation and relationship. I may have considered it a defense mechanism. That's what I would have considered it as, but it was not a good one. It was more just like a fight fire with fire type of thing. Don't work like that. You can't get further along, or, if you want to keep trying to, fight instead of understand. So, and again, You start pushing people away before they have the chance. And it's not because they've done something wrong, right? Like I just said, but because they're trying to protect yourself from the possibility of being hurt again. You don't want to wait for them to walk away again. I don't want to wait for them to walk away again and feel like I'm abandoned. I don't want to feel like that again, you know? And that's one way survival mode can keep showing up in our lives, like constantly over and over again. We tell ourselves that we're being cautious, but sometimes we're really just being afraid, right? Fear has a way of disguising itself as wisdom. It tells us, don't get too close. Don't celebrate yet. Don't trust them. They're just going to hurt you. Sometimes those thoughts are based on real experiences. Sometimes they're echoes of old wounds that haven't healed, right? Healing doesn't erase what happened. It changes how much control those experiences have over your decisions today. Now, let me ask you something, right? Have you ever talked yourself out of happiness? Have you ever convinced yourself that someone didn't really care? Even though they constantly showed up for you. Have you ever quit a job before giving yourself the chance to succeed? Have you ever ended a relationship because it felt easier to leave than to risk being vulnerable? That was a tough one. Those are very hard questions, okay? Very hard questions. And I understand that they are. But they're honest questions, okay? Because growth begins with honesty. Here's another thought, right? Sometimes people become so familiar with fixing problems that they don't know what to do when there aren't any. They're always searching for something that's wrong, always waiting for the next crisis, always preparing for the next disappointment. But if you're always preparing for disaster, you'll struggle to enjoy peace when it finally arrives. You'll spend so much time looking over your shoulder that you'll miss the blessings standing right in front of you. I want to challenge everyone listening today. The next time your life feels calm, don't assume something bad is coming. The next time someone loves you consistently, don't mistake consistency for boredom. The next time someone communicates with respect instead of anger, don't confuse emotional maturity with weakness. And if you find yourself wanting to create conflict where there isn't any, pause long enough to ask yourself, am I responding to what's happening today? Or am I reacting to something that happened years ago? That question alone can change your life. Because every relationship doesn't deserve to pay for the mistakes of the last one, right? I think we can all agree there. Every friend shouldn't have to trust that somebody else broke. They shouldn't have to earn that trust. If somebody else broke your trust, that wasn't me. I didn't do it, okay? So I should get the respect to be able to have that without being blamed for somebody else's actions. I'm not an accomplice. Every opportunity shouldn't be rejected because another opportunity once ended in disappointment. Healing means allowing today to be today, right? Not forcing it to become yesterday. And finally, all right, I want to say this to everyone who has been living in survival mode for so long that peace feels uncomfortable. Peace isn't the absence of strength. Peace is evidence of growth. Peace is something we all deserve. It takes strength to really stop reacting. It takes strength to communicate instead of exploding. It takes strength to apologize and follow up with proper actions to show, to forgive, to ask for help, to admit you don't have all the answers, to choose healing over habit. You don't have to spend the rest of your life proving you can survive. You've already survived. Now it's time to learn how to live, not in fear, not in chaos, not in constant defense, but in peace, okay? And peace is one of the greatest victories you'll ever achieve. I'm telling you, one of them that you will ever achieve. You may think it's tough to want to let things go and move things around, but I'm telling you right now, the more you create stability, not within just yourself, but within your environment, the more peaceful you will become to furthermore explore more creativity within you to take up all that boredom. And it'll be positive creativity, things that will be productive. So you won't feel like you have to be chaotic in order to live. Now you'll be able to enjoy yourself and have fun and live a good, decent life. Chaos and thriving in chaos seems normal until you look around at the people that are healthy in other areas of your life that try to help you get there. I am so thankful for any and everybody that has ever helped and assisted me in becoming the man I am today and continue to help me become the man that I will in the future. I commend everyone that has put up with me for this long and has continued to stay in my corner. Y'all know who y'all are because y'all always give me advice and I may give a little attitude about it, but y'all know I keep coming back to hear it or I'll always hear y'all out. But I appreciate every single one of y'all because I understand, even if I didn't then, I understand now that y'all are only trying to help me. I thank you all so much for the guidance and discipline you have helped me instill in myself because I have now been able to instill that in my children. So it is highly appreciated. It is highly appreciated. To everybody else out there, just understand sometimes we have to learn to live again and to be peaceful and to have a calm environment so that we can thrive in peace instead of thriving in chaos. Okay? Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm your boy, Juss Quanni. This has been Talk is Cheap on the hottest radio station on the planet, Hot 702.5 FM. So until next time, protect your peace, protect your purpose, and remember, survival may have gotten you here, but healing is what will carry you forward. Peace, love, and hair grease. I'll catch y'all next week.